Hey guys, Kevin is for Heroes Reborn, Episode 5, The Lion's Den, and I was looking forward to this episode because, the last episode I thought was pretty good. It was definitely better than Episode 3, and I have to say, this is by far the best one. Best one we've had so far of the 5. There's a lot more reveals in this episode, and besides Miko, which again, I'm just not interested in at all, I thought this was a pretty solid episode. I overall really enjoyed it. We get some really interesting stuff in this episode, and everyone really had something big in this episode. There was at least one big moment for everyone. Let's just get into it. We also finally find out what It Coming is. We start to find out in this episode, but let's just get into it. There is a lot to get into, and let's just start. So we start with Quinn, Taylor, and Noah running from guards in the research center, and Noah asks Taylor what Molly meant by killing 7 billion. Now, of course, we knew that Noah's gonna try to get answers, obviously, because, there was the one thing that Molly brought up, and he has no idea what she's talking about, because, he doesn't know about Epic. He doesn't know about that plan yet, and says that basically, she says her mom has the answers, and Taylor says she has an idea, and the thing is with this is, why doesn't Taylor just tell him? Like, if she's on his side, why not just tell him the answers? That's what I didn't understand. So, in Quebec, Malina and Farah walk down a road, and Malina says that she knows she's supposed to save the world, but not how, and Farah promises her she'll be ready when she needs to be. They go into a barn. Farah says to stay there while she meets someone. She tells her to be vigilant about her power, and Malina promises no slips. And again, I'm just not as interested in Malina, just because it's just a bunch of training, and it wasn't that interesting. At Monotonous, Harris and Erica watch the security feeds of the thing that Ren set up. She says Miko's there for the sword and says to get it to her house, and Harris says even though Molly's download wasn't complete, they have enough to work with, and Erica says she wants the girl and says to send someone discreet to get them and take care of Molly's body. He cuts off a finger, grows another to help out, and that was really interesting when we saw that. So Harris tells the security guys to let the cosplayers in, and Miko spots Harris, says he took her sword, and again, I'm just not that interested in this. Yay, he took her sword. Oh my god, I care so much. I don't care about Miko. I can't express it enough. I don't care. She's literally just there so they can get Hiro back. That's the only reason. But then we see Tommy, who by far had the best plot of this episode. I think Tommy's plot was very interesting, and I really love what they did with Tommy in this episode. He's being registered and processed, and his blood is drawn. They get ready to inject him with a satellite tracker in his wrist, and he says he's allowed a certain radius, and if he breaches it, an alarm sounds, and they come for him. So basically, then we see in East LA, Carlos, which I thought Carlos's stuff was a lot more interesting this episode. He comes back to the garage, finds Jose gone and the mask in one of the cars, and he knows that something's going on. He doesn't know what's going on, but he knows that Jose definitely is up to something. So Taylor takes Quinn and Noah to a botanical area, and Quinn says these are seeds, and Noah says it's a seed bank that you use when you're planning to repopulate after an extinction, and Taylor says that he and Molly were right, and says she has no idea what her mother is up to, and, she doesn't understand, even though her mother has never really informed her on what their plan is, and Quinn says they need to go, and they hear a security door ping. They see guys loading the seed bins for transport, and Taylor says her mom is an evil bitch. I think she's a lot more than that. Like, that's kind of being too nice about it, Taylor, definitely. And Noah says she has to mend fences with her anyway, and basically Luke goes to his house, and I really like the stuff with Luke in this episode. It was filler, but it made sense. After what happened with him and Joanne, it made sense why Luke didn't have a huge thing in this episode. This whole episode is pretty much just him recovering, and he basically unlocks the door cautiously, because he doesn't know, his powers, he doesn't know what he's going to be able to do with this door, anything could happen, really. So, he sees a stack of mail that blocks the door, he pushes to get inside, and he has his gun at the ready and calls out for Joanne, and there's no answer, because obviously she left, and I was so happy when she didn't show up. I was like, yes, Joanne is gone. I really hope she's gone for good, because I'm sick of her, honestly, I'm sick of Joanne. He looks at their wedding picture on the wall, heads into the kitchen, and he looks at a photo of his son on the fridge and starts to sort through the mail. It's mostly bills, and he's upset, and you see how much this photo of his son meant to him. It's a really sweet scene. I definitely like that. So Farrah waits for someone, but they're late. She makes a call to Casper, says their contact hasn't shown up. She heads down, disappears, and a Harris clone is there, and he's locked onto her. He makes a call and says she's headed east. Another one of his clones is walking around the cosplay event, and Miko says he's looking for something, and they wonder if it's a trap. And again, we have this whole stupid cosplay situation that I don't care about. And yeah, I can't. I honestly, I think I've said enough. I don't care about Miko's storyline. Luke goes to his son's room, looks around, he sees a Ninth Wonders comic tacked to his son's bulletin board. He sits down, looks at a picture book and with his son drew that came with voice recordings. He starts to cry, and Zachary Levi, I thought, was really good in this episode. Definitely very good acting. And then we get the most, I think, interesting plot point of this episode, which is something that I didn't see coming at all, and I really like this. This is something that's going to keep me watching. I've been very frustrated with this show, but this is something that I think is going to keep me watching. Because the guy asks Tommy what he's running from, then asks if he should call him, Kevin, Michael, or Justin, and he says 5 aliases is a record. He asks again what he and his mother are running from, and Tommy says him and people like him him and people like him, but Agent Cutler says the Odessa Protocol protects people like him from the Evos. And of course, he doesn't know that he is an Evo, and he asks if they're going to make he and his mother disappear. He says Tommy is his real name and says it's Clark, and the guy asks what was his name before he was adopted. So yes, we find out in this episode that Tommy is adopted, and I thought that was definitely very interesting. And Tommy's obviously very confused. He's never heard this before, and Tommy says he's not adopted, but the guy says their blood types are incompatible. They don't match. It says Anna Clark is not his birth mother. So he says they need to find his birth parents in case they are unregistered too. He says he has to report if he has any new changes in his abilities, and Tommy teleports out of the room. The agent calls and reports he's gone, says to lock down the hospital, and the agent Color opens the door, finds Casper there. He says, Penny, for your thoughts, his mind is wiped, and Farah runs back to meet Malina, and that I just thought was a very interesting reveal. I really like that, and that's something that is definitely going to keep me watching the show. So Farah runs back to meet Malina. She says she thinks she was followed. Harris, Clone, and another are there, and they ask where the baby is. And Farah goes invisible. They shoot her. They tell her that her powers won't hide her anymore. Another sneaks up behind Farah. Malina shouts to warn her, then use her powers to throw them back so they can get away. And Carlos goes to report Jose missing, because of course he doesn't know where Jose is, and he thinks he's missing. So he asks for Detective Deering, and he says Father Maurico is missing too. He says Deering knows where they are, and the cop says the kidnapping is a serious charge, and tells him to wait. And I was thinking that they ended up with Renatness. That's where they went. But that's not, the guy goes to tell Deering something. Someone is asking about 2 people from an auto shop, and Deering says he has no idea, tells him to tell the guy to take a seat. And another cop says the epic things just showed up. So yes, it seems like they were pretty much taken to Renatness, and 2 cops put them on and spot that Deering is an Evo. They take him down with a dart, and again, I'm not a fan of every single guy that Carlos comes in contact with to be an Evo. I think it's kind of stupid. It was an interesting plot point, but I don't like that every single guy that he comes in contact with in Carlos's, world is an Evo. It's very stupid. I don't like it. So Erica goes, scans into a secured area on the property where they are moving the seed boxes around. She goes into an elevator, comes down to the area where Richard is working with the boxes. She tells him she's got family drama, and he says he's glad his kid is 6 and thinks he's God. She says he's a lot like God. They load a box into a portal-looking device. It disappears. She tells him it's phenomenal and says this one power is the most important. Then she gets a call from Taylor, who says she's sorry and is crying. She says she was just trying to get back at her over Francis Neff so they can talk face-to-face, and clearly she's doing this just to get information out of Erica, which I think was very smart of Taylor. Taylor is slowly becoming one of my favorite characters on the show by far. I definitely really like her. She says she's at home and really wants to talk to her. Mom says she'll meet her there, and Quinn and Noah are there too. They know what she's doing. So Harris grabs Katana girl, but it's the wrong one, allowing the real Miko and Ren to sneak into the back areas. Whatever, I don't care. Tommy finds the landlord posting an eviction notice on their house because they're Evos, and clearly the landlord knows that, which I thought was interesting. So Farah tells Malina that those people are from Renatness, and they are trying to stop her from completing her mission. She says those glasses let them see their powers, and basically I'd like that she let her know what's going on there. So Luke watched a video of him and his son working on a model. Then they go to the lake to sail their model boats, and he calls Marcy and says he needs to see Dawn. And Farah tells Malina to run when the Renatness guys show up. Malina says she can stop them, but they have Phoebe with them, and she used her darkness to slow Farah, who is then shot. And Phoebe, I'm thinking, is basically being trained to kill Evos. She's using her Evo, I guess, to go after them. I don't really know what she's trying to do, but she hands Malina an envelope and says the answers she needs are in it and says to run. So clearly, she's not safe with Farah. So there definitely is something that Phoebe knows about Farah that we don't. I think that definitely is very interesting. So she runs across the street, hops behind a lumber truck, she climbs up onto it and hides in the woods, and Tommy then pops into Emily's house. And obviously, he needs to tell someone about this whole adoption situation. You can't just keep that from someone. You have to tell someone about it, and I like that Tommy lets her know what's going on, because he has to tell someone, obviously. So basically, he says Anne is not his mom, and he just found out. He says he didn't even know and doesn't even know what his real name is. And Emily says lots of people are adopted, it's not a big deal. And Tommy says that she lied to him about everything. He doesn't even know who he is. And Emily says he needs to talk to her and let her explain. And I like this. I like I said, I could watch a whole show around Tommy and Emily. I think they're really great, and I really like what they're doing with them. And then again, we get something with Ren and Miko, and every time they're on the show, I swear, I don't care. I honestly don't care. Um, so Deering is drugged, but so he can't. You basically Ren and Miko see Harris leaving Redonis with a sword. He puts it in the back of the SUV, gets it in. Ren runs up to it and sticks his cell phone in the gas nozzle area. She says they lost him as he drives away. Ren pulls up a program to track his cell phone, and Deering is drugged, so he can't use his powers and load into a van by his comrade cops. And they get in the LAPD van and peel out, but then the power goes out and they call for help. But then flares go flying all around, and El Vangador is out there, and obviously Jose, we know, is now El Vangador. He knocks them out, opens the back of the van. He and Deering grapple. He says, take him to the kid in the priest, or leave him with the cops to be taken in. And we know El Vangador at this point is Carlos, because obviously he's looking for Jose and, uh, the priest. I can't remember his name right now. What's his name? I can't even remember his name. There's so many characters on the show that I can't even remember his name. That's how convoluted the show is. Guys, I can't remember his name right now. What's his name? Uh, what's his name? Father Maurico. He's obviously looking for Father Maurico as well. So that's basically why he's El Vangador. And then we see the cops come after them, but they're too late. And Erica comes home, and Taylor says she's sorry she interrupted her day. And Erica asks why she went behind her back, and she says she wanted answers and says her mother never came clean with her. Her mother never comes clean with her. She never tells her the truth, and she's sick of it. And Erica asks if this is all about Francis, and she says she never told her that he was locked in the basement. And Erica says that Francis knew what he was getting into when he came to Renatus. You can definitely tell that she had a bond with Francis, and she was really upset about it. And this is, I know people like, oh, this is like Joanne, but Joanne not a good actress. Erica's a very good actress, and the thing is that between Joanne and Luke is that Joanne's married to Luke, and Erica wasn't married to Francis. This was just someone that her daughter dated and clearly had a relationship with, and Erica didn't respect that. So basically, Erica says Francis knew what he was getting into when he came to Renata. She says saving the future requires sacrifice. Her mom calls her delusional and paranoid, then asks if she's using drugs again. Out of nowhere, we realize that Taylor had some sort of a drug problem, and Taylor says she's not, but her mom says she knows the signs, and Noah says he believes her, then says, hi, Erica, it's been a long time, and we realize something going on between Noah and Erica, which I definitely like seeing. She says he could have just have knocked. She tells Taylor she just broke her heart, and Taylor says she's not sure her mother has one, and Quinn asks where his sister is, and she says she has no idea what he's talking about. Quinn is convinced that Phoebe is at Renatus, which we know she's not. She's with Malina. And Noah takes Erica into another room, and she says Noah was one of her greatest assets, and says it's just been a year since they worked together. They used to work at a Primer Tech, and she pours a drink and asks what's on his mind, and I guess they used to work together, and now they're not. I think that definitely is very interesting. So he asks if she killed Claire. She says she has nothing to do with that, and he asks about Hiro, and she says he died at the summit with the others, and of course we know that Hiro's coming back. We've seen a million promos where it's like, hello, friend, and he's back, but I don't know if it's ever happening because it hasn't. They did it, third episode. They did the fourth episode. They did it for this episode, and then apparently next week it's happening. But I bullshit. Honestly, bullshit. They're just doing it for ratings. It's stupid. I'm not a fan of the promos for the show at all. But she says to blame Mohinder for that. He asks if she can claim that Molly's blood is not in her hands, which it really is. That's why Molly didn't just kill herself though because of Erica. She did want to shut down the program, but she also killed herself because everyone was using her. Noah was using her as well, so that's why she killed herself. And Noah has to admit that that's his fault too, which I think he knows, but Erica's not admitting to it. So she says Molly was part of something larger and was being selfish, and Noah asks what is worth all the lives of people she has locked up, and she says us, and the plan says there's no cost too high. She says she's giving them a future and says someone has to. So he asks how big this sacrifice works, and she says he chose to forget and wipe his own memory to protect. Then she stops. He says to protect who? And obviously, again, there's information that he's not getting. Because remember, he wiped his memory and still doesn't exactly remember what's going on there. So there's something more that happened here. Who wiped his memory? Why he protecting them? I don't know who he's exactly protecting, but clearly he did to protect someone. So I'm starting to think that maybe he knows one of the Evos already. And that's who he was trying to protect. Maybe Malina. Honestly, I could see Malina being the person he knows. Because obviously she is doing so. I don't really know. I feel like something's going on there. So he tells Noah to put the gun down. Erica takes the sword. She says his friends are in the kitchen. He says that's okay. He brought company, and Don comes to see Luke. Obviously, he called Don in, and he asks why he's there. He asks how much he'll pay him for his share of the practice, and Luke says just to write him a check. Don asks if he's retiring or making a change, and Luke says he's atoning. And Harris holds the gun on Noah, and Erica says that Richard called and says it's urgent. She says she doesn't know. The other Harris brings in Quinn Taylor, and then Miko jumps through the glass, does battle with the Harrises, grabs her sword. Harris says, give her the sword. She opens it and disappears. Ren lurks outside, hoping she does well. And Noah then goes after the other Harris and Erica, while Taylor guards another. And this is so confusing. The fact that Harris has so many clones, it's so confusing what's going on. Taylor guards, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of the Miko plot, because it's stupid. Miko appears near Ren. She thanks him for his help. She says, now her father. And she opens the store and disappears, and Ren says he'll have her back, and Tommy appears in Anne's room, and obviously this was a very dramatic scene. She says that she lied to him and always has. She calls him Nathan, and he asks if that is his name and where he came from, and she says she wanted to tell him, but there was never a good time. So now we know that Tommy's real name is in fact Nathan, and because of that, I'm gonna call him Nathan. That's just how it is. Like with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I call Skye Daisy because her real name is Daisy. I'm gonna call Tommy Nathan. That's just how I'm gonna do this. So Casper's there, asks if she's really ready to tell him everything, and Quinn then ties up a Harris, and Noah says he lost Harris and Erica, and Quinn asks where Phoebe is and holds a gun on him. Noah says to back off, and Nathan asks if she knows Casper, and he says he's been around for more than a year, and Tommy asks if he's his dad, and she says no, and Tommy asks why he's been following him, and Casper says that he's very important, and Anne says she couldn't tell him and was afraid once he found out he tried to save his dad, and she says she couldn't lose them both, and Casper tells her this wouldn't have happened if she didn't run, and Tommy asks why and basically Nathan asks why he's important, and Casper says humanity has one last hope for survival, and he's a part of it. He tells Nathan he's going to help save the world, and he says he won't, portals himself away, and, Nathan just doesn't feel like he is good enough for this. He doesn't know if he should, and I like seeing that, definitely. It's a very interesting scene. So, Luke is in his son's room going through things, finds a photo of Joanne, his son, bursts into flames in his hands, throws it on the floor. The rug catches fire too, then the curtains and walls. He grabs them all, the boat he was after, walks out of his house, goes up in smoke and flames, and that's kind of him putting aside his old life. I think that's kind of what we saw here. So he puts on a ball cap to hide his face, walks out the front door, and obviously he knows that people don't want to know that he's an Evo, and he doesn't want to get arrested and shit, so Malina peeks out as the truck drives down the road. She looks at the envelope that Farah gave her that has her friend's blood in it. She cries, and Erica comes back to see Richard, and has two Harrises with her. She says it was a minor inconvenience, and Richard says that things are happening faster than they anticipate and have less than a week, and we start to realize what may be going on. What Malina says, the whole thing was something bad is coming. I feel like that's what this is, because he says he ran the simulation, shows her with the magnetic poles reversing. They will be defenseless against solar radiation, and says 96% of species on Earth will be wiped out in days. He says it's worse than they expected, and she says starting over is never pretty, and that's how the episode ends. So I'm pretty much thinking that what they're talking about is all we've heard about, the whole, oh, there's something bad happening, something's coming. That's exactly what, Malina is talking about, and I definitely feel like that's what's going on there. But this is definitely going to be very interesting to see what's happening with that. I like, Noah still hasn't gotten the information he needs from Erica, so we're going to have to see what he does with that. And he keeps getting so close to getting that information, but he's not getting it yet. And we'll have to see what ends up happening if he does get that information. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be able to. I know there's a two-parter coming up called June 13th, so I'm assuming he's not going to get all the information he needs till we get that episode. We'll have to see, though. Malina, why does Phoebe, why did Phoebe tell Malina to escape? Why did she, give that envelope to Malina? Obviously, there's something going on with Phoebe. We'll have to see what's going on with that. That definitely is going to be very interesting to see what they do with that. Nathan. Nathan, obviously, now he knows that Casper is his father and that he is a hero, but I don't think Nathan really sees himself as a hero, and I think that's definitely very interesting. I like the reveal that, Tommy is Nathan and that he's adopted. I thought that was definitely a very good plot development there. Luke. Is Luke going to be able to control himself using these powers? Obviously, people are eventually going to find out that Luke is this Evo and that the Evo is Luke. They're going to eventually find this out. I mean, they're not idiots. They're going to probably find out. and even though he probably doesn't want them to, they're probably going to find out anyway, and that's not going to end well for anyone, but I feel like that's inevitable to happen for Luke. We'll have to see what happens with that. That definitely is going to be very interesting. Carlos, not too much with Carlos, but obviously he needs to protect this cop because he knows that the cop is, an Evo, so we'll have to see what he does with that. But what happened to Jose and Father Maurico? Were they taken to Monotonous? I'm not really sure. That's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now, this whole thing with solar radiation, is that what Malina is talking about? I'm not really sure. I feel like that is what she's talking about, but at the same time, I don't know. Are we finally going to see Hiro? Like, come on, can we stop this nonsense of just showing Hiro in every promo? It's really annoying. It's one of the things that's really bugging me, honestly. Like, if I had to say something that's just flat out annoying me about the show, it's the constant Hiro promotion. It's just for good ratings. He's not going to be in next week's episode because they've done it for 3 weeks now. He's not going to be there. I don't even know if he's going to show up in the show. I don't know at this point. It's stupid. I don't like that they keep showing, Hiro's coming back. He's not there. It's really stupid. I'm not a fan of this at all. I think it's definitely really dumb that they're doing that. I don't really care about Miko's plot at all. I've talked about it a million times. I don't really give a shit. What's going on with that. But will Quinn find Phoebe? Obviously, he's determined to find her, so we'll have to see if he finds her as well. But that's basically all I have to say about this episode. I know I don't have a lot to say about the show, but there's a million things going on, and I'm still not invested. I'm still just... It's a show I'm watching, but I'm not like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next episode. I'm still not like that. I like where we're going with some of the plots. I think, Nathan's was very interesting. I really like seeing what's going on with Malina. I like seeing that. I'm just, some of the plots I'm still not set on yet, like especially Miko. They really need to do something about it. Apparently next week is when all the stories are going to come together. I'm calling bullshit on that because once again, it just seems like they've been teasing that for episodes now and it hasn't happened. I'm not a fan of the promotion at all for this show, but that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys saw this episode. I overall thought this was probably the best episode we've had so far, and we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for the season premiere of The Nick, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.